What isn't working for you right now in learning in school? Let me give you an example. About 10 years ago, what we were doing that wasn't working for us, we were doing school at home. And I mean, we were doing school at home. We were doing a classical curriculum. We were doing all of the tests and the workbooks. I was doing dressing the children in uniforms to come to the dining room table. I know, I did that, and it wasn't working. We were doing a classical co-op and then coming home and completing assignments, co-op and assignments, co-op and assignments. And what we had as a result of all of that wasn't working, we had piles of completed assignments all over the house. My children actually had great grades. You know, there were A's and B's in all of those completed workbooks and tests and quizzes. I had children that were very compliant. They would sit at the dining room table and do exactly as I told them to do, but that wasn't working for us. I also had a lot of sleepless nights up searching for the next best curriculum, because while we were academically successful, there was still something that was missing, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And who we were being that wasn't working. Well, my kids were being disengaged. They were checked out. They were being inauthentic. I was being burnt out. I was depressed. And that was our predictable future if nothing changed. So when I thought about what was missing for us that would have made all the difference in the world, was being curious, my children being passionate and being supported in their curiosities. And then for me, man, I never got to be peace. I never got to be joyful with my kids. I never got to be connected with them in that way. And so I invented that as a possibility. I invented the possibility of my children being curious, being passionate, being supported in their curiosities, and me being trusting. Boy, that was missing. Being trusting with my children. And as a result, we actually got that. Shortly after living that possibility where my children were being curious and passionate and me trusting their curiosities, and they were engaging in all of their interests and doing all of the things that they love to do, and some of the things that I've been begging them to do when we were doing school at home, they began doing on their own because they either loved it, they were curious about it, or they found that it was important to them. Shortly after this way of living and being, my husband passed away from cancer. And so now, here I am, a widowed single mom with 6 kids. I had been a stay-at-home mom for 16 years. And now I was suddenly faced with the question, how am I going to provide for my family and still provide this educational and this lifestyle way of being where we were free to be curious, free to be passionate, and my children were trusted that their curiosities were enough. So I couldn't, in the state that we lived in at the time, I could not as a homeschooler drop them off 5 days a week if I had to go to work. The only other option was to create an unschooling school. And that's exactly what we did. The Genius School and its 5 Pillar Genius communities provides an opportunity for children to be who they never get to be in their current learning experience that isn't working for them. We are an international network of micro self-directed learning communities all across the world. And that is the one question that we ask kids and parents. Who do you never get to be in learning in school? And if you could be that, what difference would it make for you? Then we talk about how you can actually get it. We talk about decolonizing parenting and how when you have a relationship with children where both parties, both parents and children, consider the choice and the consent of each other, what's possible in that type of relationship? But see, freedom and consent isn't something that just can be tethered in one area. That's why we have to have communities where children can learn this way. So in our 5 Pillar Genius communities, parents are supported in their decolonizing parenting coaching and in our deschooling coaching, so that when they are at home, they're able to live in consent and freedom with their parents. And then when they come to our communities, they're also able to exercise that freedom and consent in how they learn and what they learn and if they learn anything at all. So if you are finding alignment with anything that I mentioned here today, or if your children are in a learning community right now that just doesn't fit them, ask yourself that question. Ask your kids that question. Who do they never get to be in learning in school? Who do you never get to be with your kids? Think about it. And if you could actually be that, what difference would it make? What would you be able to do? And what would you have? We invite you to take that possibility, that one that you just thought about right there, and bring it with you to our 5-Pillar Genius communities, where in our community, the way you want to be is the only thing that matters.